I'm Toby Peck.
I'm Letty Senin.
I'm Ben Rosenberg. Our project today is to educate others on the ecosystem of Concrete, Washington. So our task was to create a manual that explains the local ecosystem in an easy way for children to understand.
Thank you, Ben. It is essential, or our role is essential for surviving the zombie apocalypse because it teaches you how to utilize your ecosystem to survive, like to get food and shelter and water. Concrete, Washington is just north of Seattle, and it's surrounded between like forest and then the North Cascade mountain range. Natural selection is the process where organisms are better adapted to their environment to survive and produce more offspring than competitors. The only issue is as the population of humans increase, so does the population of zombies because more prey means more predators. The utilities of Concrete, Washington it's on a river. It's between a forest and the North Cascades, so it's in a very good defensive area. It's a population of 400. There's a lot of farmland for growing food. The forest is convenient for hunting and for wood. There's a lot of usable energy sources. The area is about 1.54 square miles, and it's 253 to 267 feet above sea level. The animals found in the surrounding areas are elk, black bears, deer, cougars, birds, insects, and rodents, which you can all hunt and use for food and energy and stuff. The trees are Douglas fir, cedar, maple, and redwood trees. And then edible plants that are in the surrounding forest are huckleberries, salmonberries, blueberries, miner's lettuce, stinging nettle, and fiddlehead ferns boiled. And then how to use what's in the environment is the animals you can use for food, clothing, tools, medicine, and warmth, like for blankets. The trees you can use for fires, building, like shelters and tools, cooking, and shade. And then the plants you can use as food and medicine. And then the river you can use for water, energy, and fish.
Okay, so we also learned how to test water safety through DIY pH testers. You can do this with either turmeric or blueberries or black beans, whichever one you have access to. The process is very simple and it's outlined in the pamphlet, so you can refer to that. As for water purification, if your water is not safe to drink, the easiest way to purify that is to boil it. But if you do not have access to heat to boil it, the best bet is just filtering it through some sort of thick cloth. The next topic that we covered is the food pyramid, in which the bottom is the producers. It's like trees and plants that produce nutrients for other animals. The second tier is the herbivores, primary consumers, and that includes insects, small mammals, birds, and some larger mammals like deer. And then the next stage is the secondary consumers, which is omnivores and smaller carnivores, which includes snakes, frogs, black bears, raccoons, and salmon. And then the very top is the apex consumers, the predators, which include bald eagles, red-tailed hawks, cougars, coyotes, bobcats, and adult salmon, as well as river otters. And then moving on, we talked a bit about climate and how that changes throughout the year. So it talks about the different things you can expect throughout fall, winter, spring, and summer, as well as how that affects the surroundings and what we need to do to get through that. So in fall, the time is good for scavenging, collecting rain, stuff like that when it's more wetter conditions, as well as winter. Winter's also good for water collection because of possible snow. Spring is good for farming, so you can plant all your crops, as well as construction because more daylight. And then summer is best for scavenging and building because all fruits and vegetable plants are producing their stuff and they'll still have a lot of daylight to build. And then finally, we talked a little bit about how to protect the ecosystem, especially from the local concrete plant that we assume is still working because when it's running, that produces a lot of bad chemicals that can do really bad things to the human body that cause a lot of respiratory issues. So we talked a little bit about how to stop that.
Here's Ben collecting wood to make a fire for himself later, and also utilizing the shade to protect himself from the heat of the summer.
Hi, it's Toby. We taught the community how to survive using natural resources. We also taught them how to survive and practice using sustainability. All right, we learned about natural selection, how to hunt animals.
We also learned about the food pyramid, different climates, and how the seasons affect the area, as well as sustainability with the concrete plant and how to purify and test water safety.
So, our issue
/pamphlet can
evolve and change over time by climate change and other natural disasters and things like that. So,
Basically, as the climate continues to change, whether it continues to get hotter or gets colder,
the things we need to do in order to kind of utilize everything around us will change in order to sustain all of the things we need to survive.
Yeah, building off of that, it's gonna get warmer. It's gonna get harder to farm and forage for water, but that's means you just gotta do it earlier in the year, like in the fall.